Was I a bit disappointed in this card? Well, what's going on here? Like, how is this scoring points? This was a hard watch, and I don't want to hear the casual MMA conversation about blah 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 blah. In terms of the UFC, in terms of what the brand is, can the brand still say, "Hey, look, we're still a $4 billion brand"? Then we get to the main card. Tell me in the comment section, who's the face of the UFC? Where is the brand headed? Can they still pull off events? Can they still stand there and say, "Hey, we sold for 4 billion. We're a big brand"? I don't know, guys. Let me know. Welcome back to the Neophyte Journal. Today we will be reviewing UFC 319. Eventful night. I've not been able to review an entire card only because of the time zone difference. 3 in the morning over here. So usually I fall asleep, I wake up, and then I watch it. But last night, this morning, should I say, I was pretty much awake for this UFC 319 review. Let's get into it. Is the UFC still a 4 billion powerhouse? Because that's how much it got sold for back in the day. When I say UFC, I don't mean mixed martial arts. I mean UFC the brand, UFC the company. Can they still pull events? Can they still draw fans? Even like the casual fan. Can they still get a casual fan to say, "Have you seen that guy Conor McGregor? Have you seen that girl Ronda Rousey?" Like, can we still get, the casual fans to draw into the UFC and be like, "Oh my God, that guy's name is Street Jesus. He's crazy." Does the UFC still have that kind of power? Does the UFC still have that kind of interest? Is it still a big brand? Because in terms of MMA, you can pretty much go PFL. We had PFL Africa the other day, amazing event, won championship. They do MMA, they do Muay Thai, bare knuckle boxing. It is phenomenal. Let's have a conversation about that at the end. But for now, let's review the early prelims. Edson Barbosa will always be one of my favorite fighters. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Edson Barbosa, back in the day, always watching Edson Barbosa. I think I've got an Edson Barbosa highlights reaction on one of my channels. Always one of my favorite fighters. Always one of my favorite fighters. He didn't win last night, and I'm kind of worried that Edson Barbosa is slowly becoming the gatekeeping fighter. Cowboy Cerrone was that go-to guy for when you had the young talent or when you had a potential future champion and you wanted to like demonstrate that he was the future. You'd make him fight like a known name, like a Cowboy Cerrone, or I have a feeling that Barbosa is the guy you go to. You beat him, and then you get into the conversation of top 15, top 10. Sad to say, but I'll always be a Barbosa fan, and I'll always look out for Edson Barbosa highlights, because those highlights are insane. You should Google that. You should Google Edson Barbosa highlights. They are perfecto. Okay, so up next we got Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. Should I say right before the time was out? Should I say that? Knockout right before the round was over. Literally, and when I say right before the round was over, I mean like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Hernandez for the win. Absolutely beautiful fight. I watched it. I was entertained. This is why sometimes the main event doesn't necessarily carry the card. It's all about like the prelims and the early prelims and everything that's before the main card. Sometimes it's just so much more entertaining than the main event. We'll get into the main event in a second. But yeah, shout out to Hernandez, Alexander Hernandez. That was an amazing. Eric Nolan, Ben Sakur, amazing fight. This is apparently Chimaev's countrymate and teammate as well. So Ben Sakur via rear naked choke. It was a very beautiful display of jiu-jitsu, ground game. And it was just such an entertaining fight. Yeah, pretty good prelims. As far as I'm concerned, the prelims were good. The prelims on this card, super good. So by the time it got to the main card, I was already excited because you know who's next, Tim Elliott. I've not seen Tim Elliott fight in a very long time, and Tim Elliott is that guy. How old is Tim Elliott right now? He must be in his 40s. Let me have a look. Tim Elliott is 38 years old. Tim Elliott is borderline 40, and he's still in that cage. Oh my God. And in terms of fighting styles, you have to watch the way Tim Elliott fights. It's a very rare type of fighting style. It works for him sometimes it doesn't work for him, but it's an amazing thing to watch, which is why Tim Elliott will always be one of my favorites. His fighting style is just so different, and I'll always watch a Tim Elliott fight. Coming into this fight, Kaya Sakura was pretty much hyped. He is the younger fighter, and he is kind of what the UFC want to be the future of Asian fighters in MMA in the UFC. But man, Tim Elliott got him, man. Tim Elliott got him, put him in a choke. That's all she wrote. Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. Gerald Cannonier is vicious. He is a vicious fighter. He is like physical into striking. He is savage. And MVP is also a striker, but he's also very elusive to hit. If you watch the MVP Bellator back in the day fights, he got caught once with a leg kick. He dropped, he was off balance and he got knocked out. But it's still pretty hard to hit him. I think MVP is the closest thing to Anderson Silva that we've seen by comparison. Like, very elusive, hands down. Always his face is always out there, his chin is always out there, hands down. He does have striking power because he did put Cannonier on the floor twice. Twice he put Cannonier on the floor. And it was, I get scared sometimes when I watch MVP fight because to me, I kind of wish he wouldn't like put his hands down and then stick his face out, but that's his fighting style and he does it very well. He controls it very well. He dodges very well. He's very hard to hit. He's hard to hit very well. And even Cannonier, if you watch the fight, first 2 rounds, MVP was in control the whole time. No pressure. He was in control. And then the last round, Cannonier decided to take it to the ground, but he didn't really do anything with it. Not to say that he wasn't trying. That's not what I'm trying to say. But he didn't really... there was no execution when he was on the ground. It was the whole 3rd round, I think it was Cannonier on top of MVP, and MVP defending everything that Cannonier was trying to pull off. But yeah, it was an interesting card. It's good to see MVP in the UFC. MVP is from London. We have a mutual friend. I might try to do an interview with him one of these days if I can, but we do have a mutual friend, someone that I respect a lot. And yeah, MVP is the man. Cannonier is also the man. Guys, I'm telling you, Cannonier is a beast of a fighter. I just think that Cannonier didn't have control over his distance in this fight, because MVP is tall. MVP is very tall, and his reach is also pretty good, and he's also good at counter striking. And it's a tough one, man, because before the fight I thought to myself, man, Cannonier is so dangerous. If there's anyone that can touch MVP, it's Cannonier. But yeah, MVP proved me wrong, and yeah, that's what you get, man. I can't wait to see MVP title fight. I cannot wait. But the UFC are being very careful with whom they put MVP in front of, because MVP does have the potential to be the future of the UFC. I'm telling you guys, MVP's brand with the UFC, cocky, brash, arrogant in the ring. I can see MVP being the face of the UFC, but they have to be careful not to put MVP in front of, somebody who doesn't match his fighting style, basically, is what I'm saying. 2 elbows in one night, 2 spinning elbows in one night. I think prior to that, the UFC only had 8 knockouts via elbow in the entire history. So we're now at 8, 9, 10. We're now at 10. And it's because we had 2 spinning elbows in one night. Guys, when I tell you that this was the card that had everything prior to the main event on fire, this was it. Leo Murphy, Aaron Pico, Jeff Neal, Carlos Pratis. It was amazing. And Carlos Pratis is such a savage, man. Carlos Pratis was like, I want to drink, I want to smoke, and I want to party. Post-fight press conference, he was smoking a cigarette. Pratis is insane, and I love it. I love that brashness. I love that arrogance. I love that fighter that just does what he wants. Spinning elbow, we're not allowed to put it up here on the channel because you know what UFC does. We get a copyright strike and then it's all over for us. But 2 spinning elbows in one night. This was amazing. Jeff Neal was amazing. Carlos Pratis was amazing. I was happy to watch that fight. That fight got me, that fight got me so hyped for the main event. Leroy Murphy, I gotta have his back. He's from the UK. I gotta have his back. But Aaron Pico was being spoken about a lot prior to this fight. Aaron Pico was being hyped so much in comparison to Leron. I didn't see as much hype for Leron as I saw for Aaron Pickle. Yeah, Aaron Pickle was super aggressive. I think he got that spinning elbow while he was moving forward. So he was moving forward, spinning elbow by Leron, out. And yeah, those fights were insane. This whole card had insane fights, insane submission, insane finishes. That's 2 spinning elbows in one night. So this leads me to the main event. This leads me to the main event. DDP, Duplessis, Khamzat Chimaev. This leads me to the main card. And before we get into it, I just want to say, yes, this is MMA. It's mixed martial arts, which means that you are allowed to grapple, you are allowed to strike, you are allowed to submit, and all those other good things that come with MMA. But it is also entertainment. It is also what draws the casual fan into the brand of the UFC. Not the brand of MMA, the brand of the UFC. It's entertainment, right? We love Jon Jones because of the wild striking. We love Conor McGregor because of the wild striking. We love Ronda Rousey because of the submissions. It's entertaining, right? And the MVP fight, that was entertaining. As a matter of fact, the MVP fight against Cannonier must have been the most entertaining fight of the entire night. And then it was just followed by Leron, and it was just followed by Pratis, and it just created this whole entertaining night. And then we get to the main card. I don't blame Duplessis and I don't blame Khamzat, because I think there should be a rule that states that if you just hold someone for an entire round, or rather I should say this, you shouldn't be holding on to someone for an entire round. You shouldn't be laying on top of someone for an entire round. Now, I'm all for ground game, but I'm for ground game when there's activity and when there is movement. I'm going to get a lot of flack for this because, again, guys, we need to separate the MMA technical side of it, and then we need to separate the entertainment side of it. If you have a pay-per-view, if you're paying for this card, round 1 would have drove you insane. Round 1, Khamzat did what he was going to do, put Duplessis on the ground. He wasn't really punching him with a lot of force. He was just kind of like tapping him. And that was the entire first round. It was just Khamzat on top of Duplessis, just tapping him like that. Just tapping him. Just like that. Just tapping him. There was no power. Go and watch the highlights. There was no power at all. And it made me think, after a good couple of seconds, like, can someone not tell them to stand up again? Because we kind of need to reset. We kind of need to reset the whole... I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but we need to reset the fight if all that's happening is Khamzat on top of Duplessis and there's no activity. Yes, I would love it if there was activity. I would love it if there was transitioning. I would love it if Chimaev was transitioning his body into a certain finish or whatever it was. I would love that. But that wasn't there. The second round was pretty much the same thing. Grabbed Duplessis from the back and just kind of put all of his body weight on there. Cardio, yes. Kind of put his body weight on there, make him tired. Yes, that was there. But yeah, man, it was a unanimous decision in the end. Was I a bit disappointed in this card? I was a bit disappointed in the main event, but I wasn't disappointed in the card. The card had me on fire, but the main event... Again, like, I don't mind the ground game. I love the ground game, right? There are people that do the ground game really, really phenomenally well. And they're always trying to transition. Like, they'll try to get somebody in a position. They'll realize after 10 seconds, okay, this isn't going to work. Let me transition into something else. And that period of transitioning, that moment of figuring out what your opponent can or can't do, that's entertaining for me. But what's not entertaining for me is just Khamzat just chilling on top of Duplessis, or Khamzat just holding Duplessis from behind, just holding Duplessis from behind and just putting his entire body on top of Duplessis. Like, I don't know. And that leads me to my next point, which is, I think we should have a rule. I think we should have a rule of non-activity. I think we should have a rule. So if you're holding on to someone and there's no activity, meaning you're not trying to transition into anything, then we should reset the fight. We should reset the stance. Both people get up and then we should reset it. Kind of like when when someone's being pinned against the cage and there's no movement, there's no transitioning, kind of like that. I think we should do the same thing for the guys on the ground, because oh man, this was a hard watch, man. This was a hard watch. And I don't want to hear the casual MMA conversation about blah 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 blah. If he was transitioning into a different finish, it would have been entertaining. But the problem I have is Khamzat wasn't transitioning into anything. He was literally just laying on top of Duplessis, laying behind Duplessis. And it's, I don't know, man. I don't know. The main card was a bit disappointing. I love Khamzat. He's an absolute beast. Khamzat is now the champion. So be prepared, because number one, I don't know if we're going to have that many title defenses. Also be prepared, every single title defense will pretty much more or less be like this. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm wrong. But it leads me to my final point. In terms of the UFC, in terms of what the brand is, can the brand still say, hey, look, we're still a $4 billion brand. We still sold back in the day for $4 billion. We're still that company. We're still the shiznit. We have a large variety of fighters and we have a large variety of highlights. Because let's be fair, us guys will always watch MMA events. We'll always watch UFC events. We'll always watch PFL events. We'll always watch One Championship events, bare knuckle events. We'll always watch them. But how do you draw the casual? How do you say to the casual, hey, come and watch this fight night. Hey, come and watch UFC 319. Hey, come and watch this. It's going to be amazing. How do you draw the casual fan into this brand, the UFC brand, and say, look, this is the best we have out there. It's the UFC. Literally the best fighting brand out there. It's the UFC, and this is why. You probably couldn't do that if it was Duplessis versus Chimaev. A casual fan will probably be like, oh man, what's going on here? Like, how is this scoring points? But man, this was a tough one, man. The main event was a tough one, and I was looking forward to it. Oh, I was looking so forward to it. But this main event was a tough one, man. Can the UFC still draw a casual fan to its events? Who's the highlight of the UFC right now? Who's the guy in the UFC? Jon Jones just retired. So who's the brand name? Who's the brand name of the UFC? I don't know. Tell me who the brand name is, because at the moment, it's a bit of a mad one. Tell me in the comment section, who's the face of the UFC? Where is the brand headed? Can they still pull off events? Can they still stand there and say, hey, we sold for $4 billion. We're a big brand. I don't know, guys. Let me know.